Over 1 million. People living in the United States right now could be told to pack their bags and leave. Sounds extreme? It's not. This is exactly what new immigration rules for 2025 are setting in motion. From stricter visa cancellations to sudden deportations, America's immigration system is undergoing the most dramatic shakeup in years. Students, workers, even longtime residents could find themselves on the wrong side of these changes, sometimes with just days to leave the country. But here's the twist. Some of the reasons for removal are so unexpected, most people don't even realize they're at risk until it's too late. So who's safe and who's next? In the next few minutes, I'll break down the 10 shocking rules you need to know before they decide your fate in the USA. And trust me, number 7 will leave you stunned. Let's start with the first major change: reduced green card approvals. For decades, millions of immigrants have dreamed of one thing: getting that little piece of plastic that unlocks permanent residency in the United States. But in 2025, that dream just became harder than ever. Here's the shocking part. The federal government has slashed the number of family-based and diversity green cards available this year. And while the demand is sky high, the supply has been cut short, meaning even qualified applicants may wait years longer or never get approved at all. And if you thought employment-based green cards were safe, think again. The U.S. is now giving priority to workers in critical industries like defense, healthcare, and advanced technology. If you're outside these categories, your application could face endless delays or outright rejection. So imagine this: you've studied here, worked here, built your entire life here, and suddenly, the path to permanent residency narrows overnight. Families are left in limbo, careers are on hold, and dreams are put on pause. And remember, this is just the first rule. Things only get tougher from here. Rule number 2 is where things get really scary: sudden visa cancellations. In 2025, U.S. immigration officers have been given expanded powers to cancel visas without warning. That means your work visa, student visa, or even a visitor visa can be revoked instantly, not after months of review, but on the spot. Why? Officials say this crackdown is to fight fraud, overstays, and national security risks. But here's the twist. The definition of risk is so broad that almost anyone could be targeted. A minor paperwork mistake, a sudden job loss, or even suspicion of false documents could trigger an immediate cancellation. Picture this. You're an international student, halfway through your degree, and you wake up to an email saying your visa is no longer valid. No appeal, no extension. Just 30 days to pack your bags and leave. And it doesn't stop there. Mass visa cancellations are now possible under this rule, meaning entire groups of workers or students could be forced out at once if the government believes it's in the country's public interest. For thousands of immigrants, this rule has turned the American dream into a ticking time bomb. At any moment, it can all disappear. Rule number 3 hits the heart of the American dream for millions of young people: stricter student visa requirements. For years, the U.S. has been the top destination for international students chasing world-class education. But in 2025, the doors just got a lot narrower. From now on, students must show much higher financial proof before getting an F1 visa. It's no longer just about tuition. You now have to prove you can fully cover housing, food, insurance, and every living expense up front. For many families, that means tens of thousands of extra dollars in the bank before you even step foot in America. And there's more. Students applying for graduate programs may need a special approval letter from their state or university system, making the process slower and more competitive than ever. On top of that, the U.S. has capped the number of student visas for 2025, so even if you qualify, there's no guarantee you'll actually get in. Imagine preparing your whole life to study in America, only to be told your savings aren't enough, or that the visa slots are already full. For countless students, this rule is shutting the classroom doors before they even open. Rule number 4 brings a crushing blow to thousands of workers: tighter work permit restrictions. In 2025, the U.S. has made it far more difficult for immigrants to get or renew a work permit. Previously, students, asylum seekers, and even family-based applicants had smoother access to work, authorization while waiting for their cases, but now the waiting period has doubled, and in some cases tripled. And here's the shocking twist. Some categories have been completely removed from eligibility. That means thousands of people who were legally working last year suddenly find themselves jobless this year. For employers, this creates chaos. Skilled workers who've been part of companies for years may suddenly lose their legal status to work. Families depending on a single paycheck are now facing eviction, unpaid bills, and the terrifying reality of being forced to leave. And if you think switching to another visa type will save you, think again. The new rules make status changes extremely limited, trapping immigrants in a bureaucratic dead end. So imagine this: you've built a career, paid taxes, supported your family, and contributed to the economy, only to be told your right to work no longer exists. This isn't just paperwork, it's people's lives being dismantled overnight. Rule number 5 cuts the deepest: family visa delays. For decades, U.S. immigration promised to keep families together: spouses, children, parents, the people you love the most. But in 2025, that promise is breaking apart. The wait times for family-based visas have exploded. What used to take a few months can now take 5, even 10 years in some cases. And for certain countries, the backlog is so massive that families may not reunite within a generation. Here's the cruel part: even approved applications are now being frozen mid-process, with no clear timeline for when they'll move forward. Imagine waiting years thinking your husband or wife is finally coming home, only to get a notice saying, application delayed indefinitely. And children are suffering the most. Many are aging out before their cases are processed, turning 21 and instantly losing eligibility to reunite with their parents. One birthday, and their dream is gone forever. This rule is tearing families apart, leaving parents to raise kids alone, spouses to live continents apart, and elderly parents to die without ever seeing their children again. For thousands of immigrants, the so-called land of opportunity is now the land of endless waiting. Rule number 6 sends shockwaves through immigrant communities: deportation crackdowns. In 2025, the U.S. has launched one of the largest deportation operations in decades. Immigration officers are now targeting not only undocumented individuals, but also those with expired visas, denied applications, or even minor violations on their record. And here's the terrifying twist: deportations are happening faster than ever. Cases that once took months in immigration court can now be decided in days, giving families little or no chance to fight back. Entire neighborhoods are living in fear. Parents are afraid to send their kids to school. Workers are vanishing from their jobs, and communities are being ripped apart overnight. What makes this rule even harsher is the no-tolerance zones policy. Areas near airports, borders, and even major cities where ICE has been ordered to carry out mass sweeps. One wrong step, one random stop, and your entire life in America can be over. For many immigrants who have lived here for years, paid taxes, and built families, the American dream is turning into an American nightmare. Because under this rule, no one feels safe anymore. Rule number 7 brings back memories of the most controversial policies in U.S. history: travel ban expansions. In 2025, the government has quietly expanded the list of countries facing severe entry restrictions. Citizens from these nations are now either banned from entering the U.S. entirely or forced to go through years of extreme vetting before even getting a visa. Here's the shocking twist: the list isn't limited to conflict zones. It now includes countries with strong ties to the U.S., leaving students, workers, and even families completely stranded. Imagine planning to visit your spouse, attend a university, or take a new job, only to find out your passport alone disqualifies you. No crime, no personal fault, just the country you were born in. And it doesn't end there. Even dual citizens holding passports from a banned country are facing rejection. That means people who've lived their whole lives in America could suddenly be told, you can't bring your relatives here because of where they were born. This rule isn't just about borders, it's about identity. And for thousands of people, it feels like being erased from the American promise before they even get a chance. Rule number 8 delivers a devastating blow to the most vulnerable: stricter asylum rules. For decades, America was seen as a refuge, a place where people fleeing war, persecution, and violence could find safety. But in 2025, that door is almost shut. Now, asylum seekers must meet much harsher requirements before their cases are even heard: crossing the border without authorization, instant denial, failing to apply in another country before reaching the U.S., automatic rejection. And here's the cruel twist: even those who manage to file are being forced into fast track hearings that last minutes, not hours. Families who risked everything to escape danger are now being told, your case is denied. You're going back. Children, mothers, entire families left in limbo, trapped in detention centers, or sent back to the very countries they fled from. This rule has sparked outrage from human rights groups who say it violates America's own traditions of freedom and compassion. But for the people caught in the middle, it's not politics. It's survival. Because under these new asylum rules, hope itself is being deported. Rule number 9 exposes a silent crisis in the system. Permanent residency backlogs. For years, getting a green card was the ultimate milestone for immigrants, a sign that you belong, that your future in America is secure. But in 2025, that dream is slipping further away than ever before. The backlog for permanent residency applications has exploded to millions of cases, leaving families and workers stuck in a legal limbo. People are waiting 10, even 15 years just for their turn. And here's the shocking twist. While you wait, you're trapped. You can't freely change jobs. You can't travel outside the country without risking your case. And every small mistake in paperwork could reset your entire wait time. Imagine living in America for over a decade, paying taxes, raising children, yet still being treated like a temporary guest with no certainty about tomorrow. For many, the backlog feels less like a delay and more like a deliberate wall, a way of saying, we want your labor, but not your presence. This rule is turning the green card into a distant dream, one that many may never live to see. Rule number 10 is the final roadblock: citizenship delays and barriers. For millions of immigrants, becoming a U.S. citizen is the ultimate goal. It means security, dignity, and finally being accepted as part of the nation you've called home. But in 2025, that dream is being pushed further out of reach. The naturalization process now comes with longer waiting times, higher fees, and tougher tests. Applicants are being grilled on obscure questions, forced to provide years of extra documentation, and in some cases rejected over the smallest technicalities. And here's the cruel twist: even if you pass everything, your case can be placed in an extended review, leaving you waiting months or even years without answers. Families who thought they were just one step away from security are finding themselves trapped in limbo, still vulnerable to deportation, still living with uncertainty. For many, this isn't just bureaucracy, it's the shattering of a lifelong dream. The chance to finally say, I am American, is being buried under endless paperwork and impossible hurdles. Because under this rule, citizenship is no longer a destination, it's a moving target. These 10 shocking rules are not just policies, they are life-changing decisions that will decide who stays in America and who is forced to leave. Now the question is, what do you think? Are these rules about protecting the system, or are they about breaking families apart? Tell me in the comments, do you support these changes? Or do you believe America is losing its promise? And if you found this video eye-opening, don't forget to like this video, share it with others, and subscribe. Because the truth about immigration in 2025 is only just beginning to unfold. Stay alert, stay informed, because tomorrow's rule might decide your future.